We didn't even have preschool when I was growing up. We had this thing called nursery school. It was an afterthought. It was a place to go play with Lincoln Logs. At snack time, you have animal crackers. At nap time, you lay in a dirty towel, you look up the teacher's dress, you're home by 11:30. It costs $12. We're out here taking ourselves way too seriously with this keep up with the Joneses educational system. I never realized how seriously we took ourselves till I was recently invited to give the commencement address at a Mommy and Me graduation. But it's a different time and a different place. My favorite teacher in the world was my third grade teacher. Her name was Mrs. Ramsey. She was a teacher for about 40 years and taught our third grade class the last year of her profession. And the year she retired, she was 72 years old. A wonderful, seasoned, patient, lovely teacher, a classic American educator. And she was my favorite. Mrs. Ramsey had this perfectly sculpted helmet of white, fluffy hair. As if you walked up and went, dandelion seeds would fly out. Big red circles on her smiling, dimpled cheeks, because back in those days, they applied rouge with a stamp. And she wore those heavy black leather nun shoes with the 500 holes in the toe and the stacked heel. The New Testament Capezio. And every day Mrs. Ramsey wore the same dress or a variation of it, which was a flower print Dacron dress. Dacron was one of the first man-made fibers by DuPont before they made them fire retardant and took out the asbestos before polyester. It was called Dacron, and she would wear variations on the same dress, and it would fit her midsection just tight enough so you could see the outline of her corset. It was like a tulip relief map over her corset. Now this corset was a substantial undergarment. You couldn't really call it underwear, it was more like earthquake retrofit. Made out of rivets and grommets and carefully shaped pieces of tarp, all sewn together with 50-pound test fishing line. And one day Mrs. Ramsey's doing a handwriting exercise on the blackboard, and one of the weaker pieces of fishing line gave way, and she expanded like a life raft. Knocked the 10-year-old boy up against the blackboard, who never regained consciousness.